Welcome, and thank you for joining us on this episode of The Treasury, a program of the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. My name is John Christopher. In this episode, we shall be taking an in-depth look at the issue of pension arrears payment, plus provide you information on revenue disbursement to the various states of the Federation for the months of April and May. And I hope that at the end of this show, you will know and have a better understanding of the payment to different categories of pensioners, pension reforms, and some of the procedures and processes that have been put in place to ease the problem of pensioners in the country. Also, you would know how much revenue has been allocated to your states. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. It is every worker's dream to have a quiet and stress-free retirement, having received gratuity with a monthly pension benefit rolling in to meet retirement needs. In this segment of the Treasury, we shall be presenting you with a special feature on pension arrears payment and the efforts of the federal government through the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation to provide succor to pensioners in the country. Stay tuned as we bring you a feature on payment of pension arrears. But before then, let's look at the details of revenue allocation to states in the country for the month of April. Don't go away.
Prior to the enactment of the Pension Reform Act 2004, payment of pension in Nigeria has been bedeviled by many uncertainties and delays. The public service operated an unfunded defined benefit scheme, and the payment of retirement benefits were budgeted annually. In the private sector, on the other hand, many employees were not covered by the pension scheme put in place by their employers, and many of these schemes were not funded. The scenario necessitated redefinition of pension administration in Nigeria. Accordingly, the federal government initiated a pension reform in order to address and eliminate the problems associated with pension schemes in the country. The outcome of the reform was the enactment into law of the Pension Reform Act 2004, which is now in operation. To further put an end to the problems of accumulated pension arrears in the public sector, military and paramilitary, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation was brought in to intervene to play an intermediary role, and a holistic approach was adopted.
You see, when we started, when government realized that there was a lot of problems as it relates to the payment of severance, especially when the number of people that were severed was so many at the same time, and it will take a lot of government bureaucracy and the likes to say they will be paid and be paid immediately as they are disengaged from the services of government. Government then, in their own wisdom, set up a committee for payment under the chairmanship of the head of service, and a subcommittee for payment was now created out of the main committee under my chairmanship to ensure that people are paid as when they are retired. And we found out that because of the nature of the payment that came at that time, it was not possible to immediately pay everybody because of the record system of government. The service is structured in such a way that each agency is being managed by a kind of pension department. Like if you are a co-civil servant who has served maybe in one of the ministries, you are being governed by the Civilian Pension Board. The Civilian Pension Board is under the establishment of the Office of Head of Civil Service. If you have worked in the military and retired as a military man, your pension will be managed by the Military Pension Board and is under the Ministry of Defense. If you have worked as a policeman or as a custom man or as other paramilitary, your pension will be managed by CIPO, that is the Custom, Immigration and Police Pension Board, which is also under the Head of Civil Service, but is also supervised by the relevant Ministry of Internal Affairs, or Interior now. So the sources of names and the entitlements of those people are gotten from these various pension boards. They have the comprehensive database of all the people they cater for within their own jurisdiction as allowed by law. So that is our source to the subcommittee. And any other thing we do is to just validation and integrity checks before payments are done. The process of payment of parastatals was a little bit different in that parastatals were formerly being handled by various insurance companies. But because of the nature and the trend of payment of premium, most of them could not be able to pay what is outstanding or what is due to be paid to these people. So in this case too, government has now taken the responsibility for payment. And in taking this responsibility, a decision which was taken recently, the Bureau of Public Service Reform has sent a circular to all head of parastatals, and there was a series of meetings that have taken place, and everybody was given one assignment or the other to go and collect in terms of the outstanding people, their names, their entitlements and the like. As soon as that collation is done, it will also go through the process of verification and revalidation. And as soon as all these are ready, which we'll expect will be ready before the end of this month, payment will commence in July. So parastatals too, the entitlement of their staff SEVAT will be paid in July. And all arrangements are being put in place to ensure that we meet up with the target date.
In order to guarantee the smooth and appropriate disbursement and management of the payment of pension, the Department of Special Duties in the Office of the Accountant General was assigned the responsibility of putting all relevant logistics and methods required in place, and to also coordinate the process.
We have some pension departments like the civilian, the military, the police, the custom and immigration, the Department of State Securities, the FCT and the universities. Basically, these people are the people in charge of the background work. They calculate the amounts, identify the beneficiaries, verify them, and then it is the end product of this various work that they have done that is now sent to us, to do the payment. Our end here, our own job here is to do payments directly to the beneficiaries, which we have been doing for some time now. We zone the paying centers, reduce the number of people that will be at a paying center at a particular point in time. And then what we now do is that we assign supervisors to each of the zones. And apart from the supervisor, we also have team leaders in all the zones. So all of us here, we go to all the fields to monitor what they do. And we also have the police who are on ground to assist us in ensuring that these people are paid in an orderly manner. We know these people are very old people. They have spent most of their active years in service. So we want to make sure that we attend to them as fast as possible so that there won't be any problem. And we have been doing this for quite some time now. We've not had any serious problems so far. When we are going to do the payment, we have some offices that are actually involved. We have the National Pension Commission, we have the Bureau for Public Service Reforms, we have the Head of Service Civilian Pension, we have the military, and we have the Budget Office of the Federation. We also have the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. Before the payment is embarked upon, we meet severally to discuss issues or problems that we have encountered in the past, and then the way forward. And anytime we decide on a date to do this payment, and when we're about going, all of us come together we have people from various offices that we involve in the payment exercise, so that we will ensure a hitch-free payment and every time that we are doing this. And every department that is supposed to participate in this, they are fully aware, they are fully involved. When we are going, they are involved. When we come back, we write reports, and everybody, do their own to make sure that when we are going again with problems that we have encountered in the past, we don't face them in the future.
The government came out with a tax team called the Pension Arrears Tax Team. All the claims of these various pension departments were forwarded to this tax team. And the tax team does the validation of these claims and then send the clean report to this office. Now, as for the pension arrears, for those pensioners who had, or rather who has valid banking information, the information is forwarded to us from the pension tax team in a CD. And then we now change that in form of a mandate to the Central Bank of Nigeria to the credit of the various accounts of these pensioners. Now, for the pensioners who may not have valid bank information or maintain accounts with pre-consolidation banks, then this office now, having known fully well that if we send this information to the Central Bank of Nigeria, the money may be hanging somewhere. So what we do is to sort out all these pensioners with valid bank information, transfer money to a commercial bank who will now issue out checks to these pensioners. And the payment of accessing these checks, in order to ensure that the money gets to the right beneficiary, there is a process in place where the various offices like our own office, Budget Office, PENCOM, Auditor General, and then of course the representatives of all these various pension departments are involved in the process. A consultant is appointed who enrolls this pensioner, brings out a payment voucher, and this payment voucher is signed by at least 4 of these offices I have mentioned here. Office of the Accountant General, Budget Office, then the representative of the pension department where this pensioner belongs. And after all this, we now send the pensioner to the bank to collect his checks.
Like similar exercises of this nature, the payment of pension arrears is not without some difficulties arising in the process.
There was problem of coordination. The team was not properly coordinated. There are occasions that after verification, you want the bank to perform. You will not find the bankers. Okay, and it looks like they are slow when there is a problem in correcting such situations, especially from the military pension angle. Accountant General's office, they are doing a perfect job there. If you carry a problem there, you must get a solution before you get out. So that's the much one can say.
So those people that they are working there, those civilians, they'll return, you go and bring your grandfather, you bring your grandfather, they'll say you go and bring your uncle. After bringing your uncle, they'll say you go and bring your mother. After bringing your mother, they'll say that you should go and bring senior officer. When you're going to bring a master officer, they'll say no, they don't know what that person or except Brigadier General above. And how can you get to get a Brigadier General? When he came again, they will say that it's not the one that they need. So in fact, this our screen is very difficult.
There's been some little difficulty here and there, especially with some of us whose files were missing initially, and they have to open a temporary file for us, you know. But everything is going on smoothly. Yeah.
We have paid close to maybe 70%. These things take time. We have had payments almost throughout last year. From January to May, we had a break. We resumed in June to September. We had a break, then we paid in December. We would have paid close to 70% of those who were expected to pay. We shall also resume payments at the end of this month. We have what we call residuals. Whenever we are paying, we allow people who missed out in the previous payments to come forward and be paid. And by way of information, we use the various commands for the police, for the army, then the pension departments in the civilian office. We tell them they have the Pensioners Association. We use the press, we use the TV, we use the radio. This is how we disseminate information on payments to the pensioners. This right sizing is in two forms. The ones that relate to the ministries, then also the ones that relate to the